Over your career, what would you say is, or how would you define like a perfect physique? What's in your mind? What would be the perfect physique, and how would you describe that?
I would say the perfect physique is one that has really great proportions where everything matches. No one thing stands out. It all blends together. And you have, everything is very well defined, a lot of definition. And you don't see too much of that. I mean, like take the best example I know of that is Steve Reeves. From early on, he was my idol in bodybuilding because he had everything developed and everything fit perfectly. And then another idol of mine was Larry Scott. He was sort of different. He had incredible deltoids in arms, which sort of stood out from everything else. I always thought that the ideal physique would be Larry Scott's delts and arms on Steve Reeves. Not that Reeves didn't have good development there, but his blend was really the best I've ever seen.
Right, right. And when you've, I suppose, seeing how things and trends and fashion have changed through the years, I know, one of the things that people even now seem to like is what they call, the Frank Zane physique. And that seems to have been fairly timeless, even with the bodybuilding, kind of going into the, I suppose, Dorian Yates and that type of area where size was always important. But it seems as though your physique has been fairly timeless. What do you think that is? Is that down to kind of, I suppose, looking at sculptures and arts through the years, you've sort of modeled yourself on that, or?
I always thought about it as what is possible for me based on my frame and what I really have going for me. And looking at my frame, I have narrow hips and relatively wide shoulders. And so I wanted to maximize that. I might call it a weak point, although not really. From the side, I'm not real thick. I don't have a barrel chest. And so what I did is I played up the way I looked from the front straight on and the back straight on. And as far as areas go, my thighs were always very muscular. I worked them a lot. The hamstrings developed a lot. And calves developed quite a bit. I built my calves up quite a bit. And great abdominals. I did a lot of ab work. I worked up to 1,000 reps a day. And my abs got real deep, very deep. And then my back. I did a lot of back work to bring out a lot of definition in the back. That's what I focused on. And then I took a lot of photos. And I looked at the photos and looked at what wasn't progressing and what was. And wanted to get the perfect picture. So by the time the competitions came around, I knew exactly what I looked like. And I realized that nobody else was really doing that. Nobody knew what they looked like on stage. But I did, because I'd seen many images of it. Mm. So that was always my focus.
Do you think that's something that, because I guess some people, not everybody's got your genetics and mine and everybody else's. Do you think that's really what it's about when you're, to have something that you can feel good about yourself is to say, well, look, what have I been given and how do I make the most out of what God or whoever's given to me?
Well, yeah, I call it the curse of potential. There are people in bodybuilding world who have never made it to the top because everything comes too easy for them. Now, things never came that easy for me. I had to work real hard. And so I was dedicated. And I managed to get it all done. But I think that if things come too easy, you tend to, relax a bit too much and not really take care of what needs to be done. Mm. So then an awareness of what's going on, of what you look like, and that was with photographs. I really think that's the most important part of bodybuilding, is to be photographed on a regular basis. Especially that time before competition, the 3 months before, to see how you're defining yourself, how it's all coming in. And then I have records going way back of over the years of my body, how it changed over the years. And I look different every year. Some years I was bigger, some years, more defined. And so I think probably my best year was last year. I won the Olympia, was 79. I had a really great combination of size and proportion and definition. Now, the years after that, I actually competed 3 years after that. I think in 1980, I had an accident. I really couldn't peak, although I was very muscular. I didn't compete in 81, but in 82, I wanted to be bigger, so I wanted to compete at 200 pounds. It was a mistake because I was a little bit too bulky. I noticed that the center part of my body was a little bit too thick for the rest of it. And then in '83, I went the opposite direction. I was about 15 pounds lighter, and I was very muscular, but a little bit too light. Plus, I had shoulder injury. And I retired after that because I was concerned that if I keep doing this, I'm just going to get so injured I won't be able to do anything. Because I already had shoulder injury, and after that, I had shoulder surgery. So that was my career up to age 41, from 1960 to 23 years competing. I figured that's enough.
And I suppose when people now think about training, like whatever age, and we had quite a few comments about people asking about even where to start. And I suppose how do you get that balance between, I suppose, if you are out of shape and you're, I suppose, if you're out of shape, how do you kind of balance, making the most out of your body, but without getting over obsessed about the fact that you don't look like someone like yourself? How do you sort of keep that healthy balance?
Well, you have to develop patience and have a plan, have a goal, maybe a 6-month goal. I always like to divide it like that. So maybe peaking in the autumn, maybe October. So October, September, August were my all-out months of training, really hard to have everything sharply defined. But before that, that's April, May, and June. Well, May, June, July, something right around there, those months, I was working on building up strength and size. And so I needed 6 months to really bring it around. And then taking photos and seeing how I looked in the photos and getting feedback from that. I think the most important thing is awareness, and I don't think enough people pay attention to that. They're too busy looking in the mirror. You got to get photos to see what you really look like. And I don't think many people know what they really look like. So I was fortunate to have some good photographers. Artie Zeller, the Weider photographer years ago, had some great photos of me. And then my wife after that, a really good photographer, took most of the photos of me that I use now.